Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have Captain America, the First Avenger. This is the first Captain America film, obviously. This is the final film of the solo series before they all gather together to make the Avengers. And this is it's 2 hours and 5 minutes. It's from 2011, and man, what a way to kick things off before the Avengers assemble. So this movie is not without controversy. There's some people who love it and some people who hate it, but before it was even released, people were not really sure what to expect from it, because not just on a moviegoer level, but also on a marketing level. We're not so much concerned about marketing, but I will say this: they weren't sure that a movie called Captain America would sell overseas as compared to, say, Iron Man, which has no nation-related, title. But turns out that this movie actually did better. Did better overseas, internationally combined, not just in one country, but combined, did better for a time than it did in the U.S. Like 178 million versus 173 million. Yeah, it's $5 million difference, but the idea that it would outdo domestic sales is kind of a big deal. And for a while, they were just gonna offer it out to foreign distributors as the First Avenger, just, not Captain America, which you all don't like for the most part, because we can be jerks sometimes. Turns out, though, that every nation was pretty much on board with, Captain America's First Avenger, awesome, we'll take it. The only ones who didn't take it were Russia, the Ukraine, and South Korea. That's it. Those three countries are the only ones who just called it the First Avenger. And 2 out of 3 of them you can pretty much understand. But yeah, for the most part, we're dealing with a movie that, being Captain America who he is, he's a little bit, in some people's minds, a little bit too clean-nosed. He's not edgy like Wolverine, and he's not a smartass like Tony Stark. And he's just not like a tank like Thor. He is just a good guy who means well, does what's right. Every chance he gets, he does what's right. And for some people, I guess it's just a little bit too idealistic. Honestly, when it comes to telling a story like this about a guy who wears the American flag in a modern day, but yet set during World War II, it still is going to smack as just a little bit too jingoistic. It's going to be a little too rah, 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 America, and America's the best. Which, yeah, but at least back then. But still, the idea is that people were not going to... It might have seemed a little too corny, let's just say. Captain America can be a little bit too corny, and that's played out in a number of the different Captain America films. But he evolves, obviously, and you really get behind him as the films go on, in the sense where, you know what, we can deal with the corny. He kicks ass. So yeah, Captain America's awesome, and Chris Evans doesn't hurt. Being Chris Evans doesn't hurt. Having him in the role of Captain America, who. He's he played Johnny Storm, who's a real smartass and pretty much a jerk a lot of the times. Maybe not a jerk, but he was at least a jerk to the Thing. But that's their personality. That's what they do. And so he has experience in superhero films, but here he's all buffed up and he's all goodness and righteousness and thinking of others before himself. Now, how do you market that to a modern audience who's probably a little bit jaded at this point with all the politics and everything else going around? We haven't necessarily lived up to the Greatest Generation era since then. It absolutely helps that it's set in the World War II era, where usually the missions and the intent of the American military can be seen as good. And you have a clear villain in the Nazis, and more so Hydra. You deal with that, so it's not hard to see Captain America as the good guy. The hard part is that when you see him, he's a weakling. But he's not a wuss. He's Captain America at heart. He wants to go fight for his country, to save those who are oppressed by the bullies of the Nazi regime. And I love the early scenes. We don't even see, by the way, Red Skull in his final form until more than halfway through the movie. It's like an hour and 19 minutes or something like that. I checked. An hour and 19 minutes as I was watching it. And the movie is 2 hours and 5 minutes long, so it's a little bit past the halfway mark. But the first part of the film, which barely there's not a whole lot of battle for him to get into. He does have a fight which is so it needed to happen right after he turned into Captain America to show him and show us what he's capable of. It's the writers knew what to do with this guy. I think they hit every beat. And again, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what the reasons why people would hate this movie. Viewers, not just like critics or anything else, just people not liking it. Maybe they just don't like World War II era war movies. I don't know. Man, maybe you don't like Cap. I don't understand that. You gotta love Haley Atwell. Come on, she's just the queen of. She just blows up the screen every time she shows up. She's just freaking amazing. You got Hugo Weaving as a Red Skull. You got Tommy Lee Jones, he has to get some kind of MVP for this, because every time he shows up on screen, he's a disgruntled CO, and he comes through with a hilarious line every single time. And when he shows up on screen, you know you're going to get something good out of him. It's great. Stanley Tucci as Dr. Erskine, who gave Cap his powers. The acting, and of course you get why can't I say his name? Sebastian Stan as Bucky, who nobody understood just how, he's just Cap's friend. We see him at the beginning, we see him die toward the end, and yeah, he was just a guy. No, he's a lot more, and we all kind of knew that what was coming. We hoped what was coming at that time. We had no idea. Speaking of having no idea, we're dealing with an Infinity Stone in the Cosmic Cube. We call it Cosmic Cube. The nerds know it as the Cosmic Cube. Even though they're two very different things in the comic book Marvel universe, it's still. This is actually probably more so than the Avengers, the start of the whole Infinity War saga. Yeah, there's elements that are seen in Iron Man, well, especially Thor, but wait, are they? Yeah, but either way, but for the most part, the real Infinity Saga thing really starts here. Because again, we're dealing with the Cosmic Cube, which has the Infinity Space Stone in it. And it's, by the way, see it right down there? Yeah, this is a Space Stone. It's inside the suitcase. It doesn't light up if I take it out of the thing. It's still in its original sealed plastic, so. Available for $9,000 on eBay right now. But yeah, this movie's more important than Thor and Iron Man, technically, when it comes to this whole Infinity Saga thing, considering how it ends for Cap in Endgame. The whole dance thing, the them finally getting their dance with him and Peggy. Spoilers, come on, it's been out for a while now. If you cared, you'd seen it by now. But the fact is that they don't even. It's not that they talk about having that dance as Cap is about to ditch the plane into the ocean, into the Arctic. That line that they'll all talk about dancing comes early on in the film, for the first time when they're alone together in a car before he's about to get the super soldier serum procedure. He's like, women really. She's like, you don't know how to talk to women, do you? He's like, I figured that'd be something later. I didn't need to learn how to dance because it's something I'd take care of later when I had the right partner. And she finds that charming, and it becomes part of their repartee throughout the film, and not just, hey, you saved me a dance, as she knows he's going to his death. And realize that, at the end of Endgame, he goes back in time to return the things to set the timeline right. You have to think, though, that they're supposed to meet at the Stork Club in New York at 8 o'clock a week later. You have to wonder, when he returned, did he go to the Stork Club? Did he show up a week later? Has she been hiding that secret since literally a week after he supposedly died? I don't know. It's a mystery. Although I can't remember if they showed him returning to her in Endgame. It's been a while. Like I told you, it's been a while. But yeah, this has so many little Easter eggs, so many little nods to the comics. When we first see Arnim Zola, we see him through a glass circle, like a magnifying thing, and we see his face, which is a call to how he appears. His face appears in his body. He has no head in the comics, so there's little nods like that. You realize that we're dealing with the Space Stone here for the Infinity Wars, like we were saying earlier. And when the Red Skull finally dies, we kind of know he doesn't really die, because he sort of gets sucked off into space, into this space thing. He just sort of disintegrates, and you kind of wonder, is he coming back? And we did see in Infinity War, he came back, but in a way we never expected. You gotta think, though, that when he zapped people with the gun that was the Nazis that were bothering him in his lab, that were telling him that Hitler's not happy, when he disintegrated them, do you think he just blasted them off into another part of the galaxy? That there's like 3 Nazis roaming around the galaxy right about now? Or at least for a while, until somebody saw how fascist and much of jerks they are. That's a nice way of putting it. And just killed them. I just love to see an alien just go, no, we don't take that kind of crap around here. So, yeah. There's so many things about this movie that I enjoy. I forgot how much I enjoyed it, because it moves well. There's not a slow moment, and I think that one of the greatest strengths in this film is the fact that it didn't just go, well, hey, he now has superpowers, or he's like the perfect physical embodiment of a human being now. Let's put him in a superhero costume and go fight in wars. That was never their intent, because there was only one of him that came out of the procedure, because everything was destroyed. He had to be protected. They had to see if they could somehow make more of them from him, just like Bruce Banner tried to do when he created the Hulk. It's creating a new super soldier serum. It's that whole thing. And it also figures in like the Peggy Hill series. I can't say her name. Peggy Carter series. There's a little piece about that fits into the Cap mythos in the Peggy Carter series. The fact that they just shelved him, in a sense, the government just said, no, you can't be put into battle because we need you. If you die out there, or if you get caught, you're going to get used by the enemy, or the enemy will have you destroyed. So they put him on the USO tour and made him sing and dance and sell bonds. And he eventually goes visit the troops in Europe. He's a joke. He feels like a joke. He's a dancing monkey. And one of the other little things they just threw in there, because Steve Rogers is an artist, he likes to draw. They just a little nod to find him when he's talking to Peggy between shows out in Europe. They show that he has a skill drawing. It's just a little thing. It's just a little thing, but it's one of Steve's personal skills. So, yeah, I mean, here we have a character that was one of the few iconic characters that was not co-created by Stan Lee. This is Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. This is 1940s. This is before Stan joined the game, really, when it came to comics. And hey, we get Joe Johnston, the guy who did The Rocketeer, who knows a thing or two about making superheroic World War II era movies. This is like a almost perfect conglomeration of the best things that could happen when you make a Captain America movie in the World War II era. Nothing against the Russos, who did great with Civil War and Winter Soldier, because they went on to do the Avengers films, but they're great at telling that story in a modern era. I don't know if I'm sure they would have done great, but I don't know if they would have done as good as Joe Johnston in directing an era, a period piece like this. And it really fits together. Like I said, the first half is just Steve finding his footing to become Captain America. And while some people might consider that slow, I consider it a great, steady build-up to reaching that logical point of being the guy who puts on the costume and the A on the helmet, and goes in there and does what he always wanted to do, rescue his buddy, Bucky, and all the soldiers that put their lives on the line every day to fight the fascists. So that's kind of freaking great for him, especially when he succeeds. And it's great for us because it shows that it paid off. It wasn't just given to him. He earned it. And it took time. It wasn't just, hey, you're really strong. Now you got to go punch guys. You're going to go punch Hitler for real. And that's the other thing. They put the Captain America 1 comic book in the movie with the punching Hitler cover, which was controversial at the time as well, because people weren't really sure if that Hitler guy was a bad guy or not. It just seemed a little caustic. We're not really sure. But throwing in things like Howard Stark and everything else, even though Howard Stark was not in the original origin for Captain America in the comics, the fact that they connected him and connected Cap and Iron Man in that way in the MCU is a great thing. It's an amazing thing. It shows some smart planning. And yeah, great cast, great direction, great action. And by the way, I just want to tell you, I am a little taken with this film also because I've held Captain America's shield, the one you see in the film. There's a number that you see in the film. There's many shields used, but at one point they were selling off the props for this movie and for Thor and for Iron Man 2, I think. I've touched and held a number of the props from these films in my own hands, including the Cosmic Cube and Thor's hammer. It has a bit of heft to it, but it's not metal or anything. It was more of a stunt hammer. But especially the big thing for me was holding Cap's shield, and it's the one right after he's dealing with Howard and Peggy shoots the shield because she's really pissed at him. There's this montage of them going to battle, and they burst through the door and just guns firing, and you see Cap holding the shield. I've held that shield. So, yeah, maybe I got a little bit of favoritism built in on this one. but I love all the Captain America movies, and I never thought I'd say that in an era where we, like I've said before in the Avengers film shouldn't have worked. It shouldn't have come together as well as it did. The fact that you put a magic god, an Iron Man, and a symbol of righteousness and freedom in America, which right now don't exactly line up too well in our modern era. Put the three of those together in a film and you think, how are they going to connect? How are you going to tell this story in a decent way? Thor shouldn't have worked, Captain America shouldn't have worked, but they did. And hallelujah, we got the MCU, and it rolled all the way out to Endgame in a beautiful way, capping what started, pardon the pun, what started here, at least Cap's story, is starting here with Peggy and ending beautifully in Endgame. So, yeah, I can't say enough awesome, wonderful, praiseworthy things about this movie. No, it's not the greatest movie in the world. Oh, come on. But I can't, if you can tell me what is really wrong with this film in the comments, fine, go for it. But you're not really going to convince me. I can't imagine, I can't think of what could be wrong with it. As a Marvel Comics fan, yeah, and just a fan of these films, it did not drop the ball. Iron Man 2 was a little iffy, but this one was great. So, deal with it. Anyway, let's pick tomorrow's. 362. 362. Yeah, it just showing you on the table there. That's the Blu-ray DVD set that comes in the Avengers case. Oh, hey, I know this one. It's a short though, so it's not gonna be hard to take some time to watch it. 362 is from Monsters Universe, or for Monsters Inc. Mike's new car. So let's take a ride with Mike's new car. It's a short from Pixar, and we'll be back here tomorrow to talk about it really briefly. All right, see you then on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge.